to do problem number 5.5 in our problem set. So you'll notice here 5.5, this is from the handout, not from the back of the book. So this is a V-belt pulley. And we're going to create this profile and do a revolve on that first, and then add the hole and keyway into our hub. So we're going to start new here. I'm going to just verify my working directory. I do have it set up already, I believe. So as I look at my path, yep, I'm good to go. So I'm going to X out of that, and I'm going to start with my new. So I already did the pulling up Creo in the background, setting my working directory. So I'm going to let you do that, you know, on your own. Oopsie. Belt pulley. Okay. And we're good to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with a revolve. I'm going to revolve. I'm going to define front sketch. Okay, now we're ready to go. We're going to start with our datum center line in the upper left-hand corner. Do not do the sketching center line. Do the datum center line here. Otherwise, the revolve will not recognize it. I just left-clicked twice on my horizontal x-axis, middle mouse button to end that command, and now my center line is in. If you end up adding it a little bit later, that works too, but I think it's good to get it out of the way, and then everything works the way it's supposed to. Now, to kind of get my scale going here, I'm going to start with a line, and this line is simply going to be right here. I'm going to middle mouse button, and notice that it's 57 units long, right? Because that's what Creo does, right? I don't know why it goes way out like that. I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to make this 1 inch, okay? Because that's the distance that my hub is on that side of the center line. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to bring this down. Whoopsie, yeah, bring it down. Okay, I actually put it down below. And now what I have is kind of my scaling here. And I'm going to zoom up here. I have my scaling now, you know, for where I'm going to start. And hopefully I don't have as much of an issue when I want to try to get things in order. So I'm going to start at that endpoint. That is, it's 1 inch on the left-hand side of my hub there. So I'm going to go up, I'm going to go over, zoom out just a little bit, shift down, and here, and I'm going to do my little flat. This flat again. Make that equal, because I know they are going to be equal, and then we'll go back to the center. Okay, so now looks like as I'm kind of going here, I should be able to get my dimensions. So I'm going to pull them out so that they're easier to see and change. Okay, I've got my 1 inch dimension there, which is good. And then I've got my, it's like underneath, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna start by changing this one to 5 inches, the outsides to 6 for both of those. 6, okay. And then this diameter is gonna be 2 inches. Okay. Then I'm going to add the width dimension from this end to this end. That is going to be 1.90. There we go. And then I'm going to add in the thickness of the top here, and that's going to be 0.125. They're equal for both sides, so we should be good there. And then I'm going to add in the dimension for either side here. That's 40, see, 40, okay. And then I just need to make sure, now, as I'm looking at this, it looks kind of close, but I need a 40 included angle and 20 on either side. So that means from, for instance, 90 degrees here, this angle right here is going to be, it's going to be 50, right? Am I right on that? Am I doing my geometry correct? I'm like, oopsie, I don't want the length of that. I grabbed the wrong thing. So I'm going to get rid of this dimension, select it and delete it. I want from here to here. And if this is going to be 20 degrees, this is going to be 70, right? That's 70, not 50. There we go. And then now this included angle is going to be 40 on either side. Yep, 70, not 50, because it's 20 degrees from vertical. That's the half and the half. Okay, so now as I'm looking here, I've got my 6, my 6, my 5, my 1.9, my 2, my 1, and my angles up here, and I think I am solid. Okay, so that means I'm going to check my feature requirements here. Oh, I've got a chain dimension line segment. I know what it is. I know what it is. It doesn't like this. It wants a continuous line here. So I'm going to delete this segment on the one side, and this was and on the other. And I want to make this one continuous line. And that was, remember, the 1 inch was the line that I had done to kind of get me scaled. Okay, I bet you it's gonna like that better. So now let's go to feature requirements, sure enough, right? So not 2 lines there, do 1 all the way across, close, and then I can hit my okay, and you'll notice that it goes right back into that revolve. This looks great, and I'm gonna hit okay. So the key on this one is to kind of get scaled in, first of all, get your angles all set on the top, do your revolve, and you're golden. So now the easy part is going to be adding in the circle and the keyway. That is going to be through an extrude. Now, Creo doesn't do an extrude cut and an extrude, right? Here, like SolidWorks does, it kind of separates those out. Here, we're just going to do a regular extrude, and when we actually do the function later on, then we select if we remove or add material, okay? So we're going to do our define. We are going to be on this surface right here of that hub, that front plane, and I'm going to sketch right on there. Now, the way that this is, we kind of lost the edge. So I'm going to go up to my view, my display styles, and it's going to be on this little toolbar that's out, and I want to do shading with edges. So I'm going to click that, and now I see that, that diameter. So I want to be right on there. I'm going to do a circle. I'm in the extrude already, so I'm just going to do my circle right here. Okay, and I believe the 1 inch diameter, right? 1. And then I'm going to add my lines to the top here. So I'm just going to grab right on the profile there, not worrying about really anything, like where it's placed. And now I'm going to do my 1/4 inch wide, 0.25. I do need to add a dimension from the center to one side so that it gets centered, right? So that's going to be 0.125, half of that. Then my height is not going to come from the top here. My height dimension is actually going to come from this surface to the bottom of that bore, okay? And this is a dimension that's given to us, and it's 1.11 to the top. And then lastly, I just need to get rid of the segments that I don't want. So I'm going to go to segment or delete segment and go over the top of these 2. There we go. Okay. And I believe I'm good. So I'm going to just right middle mouse button to kind of get out of here. Arrange my dimensions. Make sure that I feel like I'm good. Here's my 1 inch. There's this one. Yeah, I think we've got everything. And I'm going to double check my feature requirements. Looks good. Green checks. Okay. And then I'm going to hit okay. And now I'm going to zoom out for a little bit here. I'm going to go like this. And right now it's assuming I want to extrude that like outside and make it a solid. I actually want to remove the material, but it's removing it in that direction. So to toggle the direction like inside the bore, I'm going to go like this. So right next to the depth there, see how I toggle in and out, okay? Or you can actually click on that arrow in and out, and it'll toggle back and forth on the display as well. Okay, now it's a blind hole to a depth, but I want this to be not a blind hole to a depth. I want it to be through all. So I'm going to down, do that little down triangle, and I'm going to do through all. And now you'll notice when I go on the other side, sure enough, it's going through all, and I am good. Okay, there it is. So really pretty straightforward here, doing the revolve first and then putting the bore and the keyway in. Any questions on our V-belt pulley? Okay. All right. The second one that I wanted to look at was the one directly below that. It's called the taper wedge, okay? So, so let's go here. Taper wedge is down below. So this is 5, 6. So I'll do a demo on this one as well during this video. And then really what we're going to do is we're going to set our center line here for our revolve. I'm going to draw this profile as the wedge and then add in the keyway and the hole, you know, for both of those features. Okay, so let me minimize this. And instead of having to, you know, shut down Creo, go back in for a new session, reset everything up, we can go to File, Close. Gets rid of the existing one here, but I'm really not like clean slate yet. Okay, so there's two things I need to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to File. I'm going to go to Manage File, and I'm going to delete all the old versions of that other one. Okay, then I'm going to do File, and I'm going to go Manage Session, and there's like stuff in the background. So I want to erase what's not displayed. So there's 3 things here, and I'm going to say okay. All right, now I've got clean slate, and I'm just going to double check. This also is going to remember where my working directory was that I used on the previous one, which I want to continue to use. So you'll notice here that as I look at the trail, I'm in Creo 1 2022, which is exactly where I want to be. So I'm good to go. And that's just a verification of. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to start a new part. So new part solid, and then I want to give it a name, tapered wedge. Okay, tapered wedge. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go front view. Okay, oops, sorry. I have to tell it what I want to do first, right? I'm too eager. I want to get in here. I got to tell it I want to revolve. And now I got to define my plane and sketch. Okay. All right, now I'm here. This is where I want to be. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get myself scaled in, all right? So as I look at my dimension here, it looks like I have like a 2.5 inch long part. So I am going to simply draw a line. But before I do that, I'm actually going to put a center line in place first. Remember, it's the datum center line. I'm going to left click, middle mouse button to end that. So my center line is in. That's going to be the center line I have to use. Don't use the sketching center line to the right. You want to do the datum center line to the left. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, but then I'm going to do a line, and I'm just going to go along here, and I'm going to go, I guess I'm drawing everything on the left-hand side just because it feels like that's the way it should go. And I'm going to hit middle mouse button here, and it's 26.9 long. I want to make that 2.5, okay? So it's a lot smaller. So now I can kind of go in here, and I'm actually going to delete that line off of the center line because I'm not going to put it on the center line. You'll kind of see what I do. I'm going to get rid of this, and it's going to grab my center line too. I'm going to escape here, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually just select my line individually. Don't do the window because it selects the center line as well. And now I'm going to hit delete. And my center line of revolution, or my axis of revolution, is still in place. Okay, so I should be good. Now, the reason I took that off the center line, I guess I could have gone above, but when I look back at my drawing, you'll notice that we have a solid bore through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start my profile above the center line, and that when I rotate then, or when I revolve around that center line, it'll create that bore through it right away rather than putting a whole feature in afterwards, okay? Either way, if you, knowing the part, if you think that that hole could change on a regular basis, I would probably extrude it as a whole, all right? But if you think it's probably gonna stay in there, so either way you can get at it, you can always get back to the sketch and change the hole size as well. So it really is a personal preference of how you wanna do it. I think you can make a case for either way. All right, so now I have this in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drawing my profile. So I'm going to do my line. I'm going to start here. This is my line. I'm going to go up a little bit, add an, ooh, that wasn't vertical. I think I was looking to the left at the same time I was trying to do this. So I'm going to grab that line. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's try this again. Line. We're going to go here. over, up, and then we've got kind of this collar over and down. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to kind of dial in. I'm going to add my actual length, so 2.5 here. Right? Yeah, 2.5. Then I'm going to add the length of this. Oopsie. Dimension, length of this, middle mouse button. That's going to be 0.75. Okay. Then I'm still in dimension mode. 2.5. This diameter right here. See, get this out of here. I got. If you ever notice, if you're trying to move your dimensions around, you're wondering like, what the heck? Why can't I move them? Make sure that you are out of and don't have your dimension active. Okay. Make sure that that's off. Once that is off by hitting the escape key, by getting out of the dimension, then you can move them around. If I'm in the dimension mode, I can't move it. Okay, so I hit escape, and then now I can get there and I can move it where I want it to, drag it with my left mouse button, and then release. Okay, so I'm now going to, my outside diameter here is 1.5. So let me get to where I can, 1.5. My next one is 1 1.25, 1.25. My bore going through the middle is 1/2 inch, 0.5. And then my outside over here, oh, that's actually a reference. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm not going to put that one on there. I'm going to leave that because the dimension that's important to me is this angle. Okay. And that is going to be, since it's 12 degrees, 16 degrees included, it's going to be 8 from the center line here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of relook at the geometry. And I believe I have everything I need for that profile. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Creo. And I'm going to check my feature requirements. They all look good. Close. Okay, and now it revolved it for me. Now notice that it automatically put that hole in because I left that void off of the center. Okay, so I'm gonna hit okay. I'm gonna hit okay. Now, this would be a great time to save, right? So if you wanted to do a save, file, save, oops, not save as, just do the save because you already have it named something and we identified the working directory. The first time we do the save command, it's always gonna be like, are you sure this is where you want it? And you just say, okay, check the directory and you're good to go. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that hole in, that's kind of like in this area right here, up through the top of the wall and down through the bottom. So I'm going to do an extrude. I'm going to do an extrude. And I'm going to do it off of the top plane, okay? So I'm going to define top plane, okay. So what that means is I'm in the middle of the part. And I'm gonna actually go up and I'm gonna go down, okay? So I'm gonna do my circle. I'm gonna go right on that center line, make it about that big, right mouse button, double click, and it is going to be 0.15 diameter, 0.1, not 15, 0.15, there we go. Okay, so there it is, there I'm sketched, and I need to now locate it 1.5 inches from the side. So it looks like, yeah, it's got that dimension in there. So this needs to be 1.5. Okay, cool. So now this should be fully defined because I've got it attached to the center. And I'm going to just reiterate, I'm in the middle of my part. Even though I'm in my bore here, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So we're going to do feature requirements. I'm good. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, when I look at how I can extrude up blindly, right? And if all of my options here, I can go symmetric. Now that's the way I'm going to go. I'm on that middle plane there inside of the part. I want to go this way and this way. Okay, that's the symmetrical. And I'm going to click that. And now I need to know what is the total distance I want to go. Unfortunately, there's not like a secondary here where I can say through all in both directions. I'm going to have to give it a number. Okay. So I am going to hit the number, and if I look at the diameter there, if I say like 1.5, I'll be pretty good. And that'll be then 1.5, enter. That's going to be above. Now, notice that it added material. That's not what I want. I want it to be a hole. So all I need to do is click on remove material and then toggle back if I wanted to add or remove. And then now you're gonna see that it's all the way through, okay? So now no matter what the thickness is, up to 1.5, and then also when I go down into that bore, it'll always be through both walls. So I'm gonna hit okay, so that's that. All right, now I wanna add that keyway that's on the back side here, the keyway that's on the back side. So I'm going to look back at my part, and the keyway that I'm gonna add is gonna be in this view right here. So I'm gonna select this surface right here, or this surface right here, and I'm gonna put that keyway in. And then we're gonna do, it's an extrude, it's gonna be an extrude cut or extrude remove material. So if I go into back in here, I'm on this plane right there. So I'm gonna do extrude, and I'm gonna define right there, okay. Okay, so now all I need to do is add in my geometry, okay? I am going to project this circle into my current sketch from the previous one, okay? So if I do a project and I do this and this, okay? I'm gonna say close, all right? All that I did there was I said this circle was from a previous sketch, okay? I wanna now use that profile to create and attach to for my keyway, all right? So now I'm gonna add my line. I'm gonna go right about here-ish, not there. I don't wanna attach to that other line. I wanna go here because I want it to be its own independent features, okay? All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of the portions of the outside circle that we wanna get rid of. So I'm gonna delete these. I really like how this delete segment works. It's kind of fun. But I'm gonna leave the closed shape up here. And I wanted this portion of my square. And now notice that it's closed, but I do need to get my dimensions in here, and I need to center it. So I do know that this needs to be 0.25 wide, so 0.25 is the width. Then I also need to center it, so from the center to one side is going to be 0.125. So now it's centered. But my depth dimension is not going to come from the height here. My depth is going to come from the other side of, so shift middle mouse button, the other side of the outside diameter here, okay? So I'm going to dimension from the bottom to the bottom, and then middle mouse button out here. And this number is 1.36. There we go. Okay. So now this is what I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to check my feature requirements. I look good. I hit OK. And now again, it's going to assume I want to add material going in the opposite direction. No. I actually want to remove material, but I want to go in the opposite direction that way. So I'm going to toggle that direction in. Now, right now, as you can see, it has a blind depth, right? And I don't want that to be the case. This one, I do want to do a through all. And we'll see that then we get that additional, like little bit as it kind of passes over. And that's where that radius, when we look at the part on our sketch, it's creating this little radius for us automatically because of the through all. So make sure that you do that, all right? Okay, so I'm gonna hit OK, and there you go. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think that's that part, right? That's the part. You might want to go something like that. I think, right? Yeah.
That center hole. What's the diameter of that?
I think it's a 1/2 inch. Yeah, it's over on the right. It's in the right view. So if we go over here, here it is, 1/2 inch.
Okay, so then in the first sketch,
Mm-hmm.
0.25 from the.
Well, remember when you have that center line in there, it's going to dimension it as a diameter because it already recognizes it's going to actually rotate. So if you don't have your center in there as a datum center line, then it's going to default to the other. So if I go into my revolve, do you see it?
Yep.
Yep, and I go to my sketch and I want to edit my sketch. Notice how over here, it like has an invisible diameter, but it's because that center line is in there. So that's where I think it was the last time that I did my demo on one of the first two parts. I lost my center line. I forget why. I lost my center line. Usually I do it right away, or I might have forgotten to do it right away. And when I started putting the dimensions on, I'm like, wait a second, they're not showing as diameters. As soon as I put that datum center line in, not the sketch center line, the datum center line in, then they like appeared, okay? So you kind of know if you've got that set up or not right away when you start, you know, putting those dimensions on or seeing those dimensions automatically populate. So this is okay. All right. Any questions? So that's 2 more. It's 4. So you should have now 4 of the 6 good demos for them. Any questions on these 2 that we did today? Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'm gonna let you guys work. Stop recording. If you need anything, don't hesitate to contact me.